Hey guys, Four Finger here, and just before we jump into a quick showcase, keep in mind I can push the damage of this build quite a bit further, and that's why I'm trying to corrupt the fire flowers, because if I actually hit +6, I think there's gonna be like 50% more damage. So if I go from +3 all the way to +6, yeah, it's actually 50% more damage, so this alone is really good. And then on top of it, I would like to get 3 more levels for an extra jewel socket and some mini-maxing on top, and I think the damage is gonna be just right. With that being said, enjoy the showcase and let's talk about the build after it. So first, let me just briefly go over how the build actually works, and as I said in my last video, we are accuracy stacking because of this node, because more accuracy you have, the faster you attack, the faster your character moves. This is pretty straightforward. Right now on my Whirlwind Slash I have like almost 38k accuracy and 5.6 attacks per second. Now obviously this is my mapping spear. For bossing I do like to run this one because it doubles your ignite damage, and ignite is your primary source of damage anyway. So if you're too lazy, you don't even have to pick a rare spear. This one is not too much slower. You go from like 5.6 to like 4.6 attacks per second. You can notice the difference, but it's a matter of preference. If you want to go really fast, then minimax. That's all I can say. For the Incinerate, this is our main skill. Basically, this is what's doing our damage. Because what we do is it's a duration skill, which means it snapshots. So it's going to take the character stats at the time that you're using it. So let me explain you how it works. We switch to our stave that gives a lot of spell damage, extra fire damage, fire skills, all the stuff that we need, right? So now, if I use the Incinerate with this spell, it's gonna make a really strong burning round, and then I can pick that burning round into the Whirlwind Slash, and even though we no longer have the staff equipped, it kept all of those stats that we previously had once we used the spell. So you can do this on almost every item slot. You can get those 100% spell damage gloves. You should also do it on the weapon switch, which I am doing. So once I do go into my staff here and switch it to the stave, I get a lot of like elemental damage, spell damage, fire damage, and all of this will buff that burning ground, which is then going to be sucked into your Whirlwind Slash and permanently sustained. This is why this build actually works and why it's so good. So hopefully you get the base principle behind it. I'm gonna go over the gear and skill gems in a second. I just wanna check if there's anything else that I forgot to mention. Obviously we are running Black Flame, which is going to buff our damage quite a bit, but I'll cover that once we go into the gear section. So yeah, that's it for how the build works. Regarding the skill gems, I am running Sigil of Power from my weapon switch, so this stave is actually giving me this ability. If you cannot afford a stave that has good stats, on top of the Sigil of Power, it might be better just to run a wound plus focus, and once you have enough currency, you can get this on top, because it is a nice more spell damage boost. So that's like more of an endgame thing once you can afford it. We have a Whirlwind Slash, and this is basically, like I said, just there to soak up the ignite and to make us move quickly through the maps. That's the whole point of this ability. We are running martial tempo to make it attack faster, obviously. Reach and magnified effect just make it be bigger, so you know it's easier to hit mobs in the maps. You don't have to literally go inside of them, so that's good. we have a bullseye, which is actually giving us 50% more accuracy. So you can see we have 34k. If I remove it, we only have 23k, which is like a lot of attack speed loss. So this is why this is really good. And then Lacerate, probably don't need this one, because we attack really quickly, and even with 20% chance to cause bleeding on hit, it's gonna be good enough on bossing. So I'll think about it, maybe I put something else in here, but this just makes it so that you aggravate bleeding faster, nothing too crazy about this one. Then we obviously have Incinerate, and we just want as much damage as possible. So Concentrated Effect, Control Destruction, Searing Flame, Consider Casting, Hourglass, all of, because you only do it once at the start, you don't really care about the cooldown. So you just want to make it as strong as possible, so once you do soak it up, it's gonna stay up anyway. So that's our Incinerate setup. For Despair, this is, like I said, because our ring is making it become chaos damage instead, and because most of the bosses don't have chaos resistance anyway, this is actually a big damage buff, because it pretty much gives you minus 24 chaos res on bosses, and this is like a really good boost. And then you have Focus Curse, Heightened Curse, and Persistence, you know, just makes it a little bit stronger and to last longer. Not much to say there. Now, Cast and Ignite is something I do on mapping with Detonate Dead. This is just a small fraction of the damage because they nerfed it quite a bit, but it can help on some rares. If like it's surrounded by some minions, you kill them, they explode, it just dies a little bit quicker. Honestly, don't need this at all. So if you don't get the Spirit and stuff like this, it's not going to be a huge difference, but if you can afford it, that's fine. So you just run Detonate Dead, Spell Echo, Spell Cascade, Inspiration, and Brutality. It's mainly physical damage because deals physical damage equal to Corpse Max Life. We don't care about the fire portion whatsoever. So, like I said, small bonus if you can afford it. This is something that I run on bossing. So this is for mapping, this is for bossing. And I'm trying to get a better one. I want to get all damage shocks and extra energy shield, because I don't think Quadrillas can have haste auras anymore. They removed it from like super fast mobs. So I'll just try to get the extra energy shield instead of this one to make myself a little bit more tankier, because this is only gonna be on bossing anyway. We are running Lasting Shock, makes the shock that the gorilla inflicts last longer, and because he always shocks, this is nice. We have Overcharge, makes the shock stronger obviously. Last Gasp, just in case boss would one-shot it, it lives a little bit longer and applies that shock. And if it's alive, you can also like do the Culling Strike and kill the boss at the end. Voltaic Mark should also buff that shock that Gorilla inflicts and makes it a little bit stronger, so that's obviously really good to have. Then we have Ghost Dance defensively. We have like 7k evasion right now. I can probably scale it a bit further. So every time we do get hit, 8% of that gets recovered into our energy shield. We support it with Fast Forward and with Mysticism, and this is pretty much there to buff the Incinerate at the start, because usually when we do it at the start, nobody's attacking us, we have full energy shield, so this is 30% increased spell damage, so really nice. Withering Presence is because they nerfed that Withering support thing. This is pretty much the best thing to pick right now. And then you get like Chaos Mastery, and I'm running Precision. This is, like I said, applying Wither stacks, which give you more damage, so really nice to have. And then finally Wind Dancer for more evasion, and if something does hit you, it maims, because we're already blinding with the Whirlwind Slash anyway, this always blinds, but I guess I just put it here because whatever, no other reason behind it. So this is our current skill gem setup, let's go into the gear next. So going into our gear next, as I previously said, this weapon is mainly used for the bossing because it doubles your damage, and this one is just gonna make you move a lot faster because of the accuracy and attack speed modifiers. And then if you want, you can also corrupt it to get 2 open slots for the cores and then get more attack speed on top. This is pretty straightforward, not much to explain. For the helmet, you are pretty much looking to get as much accuracy and energy shield as you can, and then depending if you're missing the resistances, maybe some intelligence, rarity, whatever you want to squeeze in. It really depends on your other pieces, but there's no set requirements besides energy shield and accuracy. This ring is obviously really strong, as I said before. We also corrupted it for extra 28% damage. We are getting the 50% increased magnitude. We don't have to worry about reduced duration because it's always up on our Whirlwind Slash. The part where we make it do chaos damage instead is huge, as I said before. We don't worry about fire resistance whatsoever, and then we can further buff it with the what's called the Despair and the Withering Presence, so really good ring overall. For the chest, same thing, just get as much of the energy shield and the evasion rating as you can. Spirit is only if you wanna, like I said, run the cast and ignite, but it's really not needed. So if you just want to run full evasion and then some extra attributes or resistances, that's totally fine. For the other ring, pretty much same stuff. Life, accuracy, resistances, attributes, nothing crazy gear-wise. You just want to get accuracy anywhere you want, anywhere you can actually, and then get cap resistances and get as much attributes as you can on top, because more attributes you get, more dexterity, faster you attack. Nothing crazy about gear. Pretty straightforward. Shield is there obviously for two main reasons. It provides us with a huge block chance, and it also gives us double the accuracy, so this is already really big. But the block chance wise, I'm reaching 67% with those like 5 nodes here, and even though you're gonna take like 15% from the hits, on top of 70% evasion, having like almost 70% block, and I'm gonna scale like at least 3k energy shield, that's a lot of defensive layers. Like, this character is fairly tanky, on top of doing really good damage and being really fast. And like I said, I'm gonna like make it in like one really good overall base build once I'm fully done. So for the charms, you get the immune to freeze, immune to stun, and this one is totally not needed. I just get it on my other character, so I put it on. If you run into like those chilling ground maps, this will proc and make you move a little bit faster. Nothing too crazy there. So that's it when it comes to our main gear stuff. And obviously for the weapon switch, like I said, you are mostly looking for those 4 stats: fire damage, spell damage, extra fire damage, and level of fire spell skills. And if you can get this on the chimming stuff, as I said, getting the Sigil of Power is just gonna be a huge benefit. For the runes, you wanna put the Great Desert Rune, which is gonna give you 12% extra fire damage. So this is the gear. For the jewels, we are running stuff like +3 on the Incinerate. Like I said, stronger the Incinerate, better the Ignite, so more damage, straightforward there. We have this one, which is going to be from nothing. And the reason why I picked this one is it allows us to pick those 4 nodes here. 25% increased magnitude is really good, 10 strength, and obviously getting more area of effect for mapping is like really nice. So that's what I'm having for my second jewel, and those are really cheap. This is like 10 exalts, while those are probably super expensive because a lot of people want to try this build out. Next off, for all the other 3 slots, you want to get magnitude mostly, area of effect, and damaging elements deal damage faster. That's the 3 priority ones, and then whatever you can get on the top. So obviously I'm having spell damage here instead. This is not a great jewel, I would prefer magnitude, but you know, it is what it is. And then for the last one, I think I do have magnitude. Yeah, I have magnitude, I have damage faster, and area of effect. Those 3 are the most important ones. On weapon switch, I've already explained. We are going into extra spell damage and fire damage and stuff like that to buff our ignite. And for everything else on the tree, you will see it down in POB. We are just mostly getting attack speed. We are getting the attributes, a little bit here, accuracy and attack speed. You get the idea. Nothing too crazy skill tree wise. So yeah. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about the Ascendancy choice. I obviously went for Gemling for 2 reasons. We get +2 levels on Incinerate from this, and we get a lot more accuracy, like 60% more from this node. So those are 2 main reasons why I went Gemling. I was thinking like even the Witch Hunter isn't too bad, especially for mapping, because you can get like 24 extra weapon set skill points, which you can use for more spell damage on the top side of the tree. And then you can also get some explosions like from the Zealous Inquisition and make the mapping even better, but it's nothing crazy, just decent, something to consider. Besides that, I already explained why Ritualist is good. You get the extra ring for more accuracy, and then you buff all the other ones, so you get a lot of accuracy and stats from this, so it's also really nice. Infernalist, I really want to try this out, like I said, because of the stuff like the Tempest, not Tempest, what's called, the Mana Tempest? The one that gives you extra lightning damage, because it would work when you're Incinerate, and then you can stack a lot of other sources of extra damage and maybe make it even stronger, but I'm not sure I'll have to make a POB on that. Besides that, probably some other options as well out there. I haven't really looked into every single one what could be good, but I think this is generally really nice, and I just wanted to give you one last tip when you're mapping. Once you do enter the map, for most of the maps you don't even need the Fire Flower, you won't be using it, especially once you have good gear. But for the pinnacle bosses, you will be using +6 Fire Flower, which you would equip. Then you go into the map, you press your F, for me that's like my Sigil of Power, and then you aim in one direction, and wait till you see 4 on the what's called Sigil of Power. As soon as you see 4, you turn to the other side, and now you know that this ground was actually bought with the 4 one, and then you pick it up. Because if you actually pick the one on this side, it's possible that you pick the burning ground that had only like 1 or 2 stacks of Sigil of Power, but if you pick it on the other end, you know it's the strongest one. So that's like a small tip for you guys if you can afford this kind of stuff. That's mostly it for the build guide. Like I said, I will be posting the POB in the description. feel free to hop in Discord and ask if you have any questions, and I'll make probably one more update once I'm fully done optimizing everything and making it a lot stronger. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you liking, commenting and all of that stuff. The channel has been doing really good lately, so thank you a lot for that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.